I had the pleasure of sitting down with Erin Ellsworth today. She shared her whole backstory of how she got started with digital marketing. And it started from hospital room, right? She was a nurse for 22 years, and then she transitioned to being a legal nurse consultant, shared all her background there, and then eventually she has been able to replace her nursing salary by building an online business, mentoring other nurses, teaching them the affordability of using Systeme.io, teaching them all the tips, tricks, and tools of becoming a legal nurse consulting through mentorship and PDFs and courses. And it has changed her life. So, without further ado, let's jump into today's episode and success story with Erin Ellsworth. And we're back with another story and I guess testimony to how Systeme.io is helping people change careers and transition. So I'm excited to sit down with previously RN, now legal nurse consultant, Erin Ellsworth. Thank you for joining us today, Erin.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
All right. So, like I said before, you are using Systeme.io marketing legal nurse consulting. But for anyone listening who hasn't jumped in before, can you kind of give us the Cliff Notes version of 22 years as a bedside nurse? Like, how do you walk away from that?
Okay, so I spent 17 years at the bedside and absolutely loved it. I traveled the country as a travel nurse for about 8 years and then met my husband and got stuck in Arizona. And then once we had kiddos, things kind of changed up a little bit and priorities changed. And I went PRN at both bedside jobs, but actually, when COVID hit, I was furloughed from both of those jobs. And at that time, I was only doing legal nurse consulting on the side because I really did love my bedside nursing jobs. Like it was my thing, that was my identity before I had a family and before kids. And so once I was furloughed and kind of saw no commute, working from home, being able to eat dinner with my family every night, not sleeping after a night shift and tired the next day, taking care of my kiddos, like it was life changing, like more life changing than I ever thought it would be. And so I really just dug my heels into my legal nursing business and just took whatever I could and did not go back to the hospital.
All right.
And it's
So,
been the best decision for us, honestly.
the best decision for y'all as a family unit,
Yes.
as a provider too, and also like that life work balance.
Yes, of course. My kiddos were 3 and 1 whenever I came home full time. And so they just don't know, they don't really remember me being gone for the full days, but it was like an hour commute from my, getting in my car to making it to the time clock at work. It was only 18 miles in Phoenix, but the commute was just that bad.
Mm.
So you say 12 hours plus 30 minutes to give report, plus your hour there and hour back. I mean, you're not going to see your kiddos at all. And that was my biggest
Yeah.
thing, is that I wasn't even seeing them for a full day.
Mm-hmm. And the shifts as a nurse are very intense. I was looking on your Instagram and you were talking about trading 2 12-hour shifts. So how often did you do the shifts at work? Like how many days of the week were you gone?
So in the beginning, it was 3 days a week. I did like, it was like 2 days at one job and one at another. I always had two jobs because I just like that variety. And as I built up the legal nursing on the side, I decreased those hours at work. So by the time I was furloughed, I was just working 112 at each position. And then occasionally I would pick up like 4 hours of call time here or, half of a shift there. It just kind of depended on what was going on.
Mhm.
So whenever I fully left in 2020, it was just 2 12-hour shifts. So 2 days a week. And I would work on my husband's days off or like the night before his day off. It kind of depended on, I went nights and days. And so it turned into this whole thing where we were like passing ships, like
Yeah.
we never had any time to ourselves because at that time he was working a different job and he had a commute as well. So he didn't get home till about 6:30, and then we spent the time washing bottles and clothes and cleaning up from the day, and then back to bed, and it all started over again. So it just, just to like be able to go to, walk to my office from the kitchen and work and then come back out. I had somebody come in and take care of the kids for 4 hours. And then I would work during nap time and after they went to bed sometimes. It's just different. And you don't even realize it until you experience it.
Yeah, just recently I was talking with a friend about how COVID has it closed a lot of doors, but at the same time it did open a lot of doors and
Mhm.
even shift priorities. Is we didn't know how exhausted and how much in a survival mode we were in until all of a
Yes.
sudden you just the door shut and it's like, okay, sit home. You there is nowhere for else for you to go. And we got creative, we got innovative. And before we dive into the full shift, I'd love to know how you were building your legal nurse consulting while simultaneously working full time and being a wife and being a mom. Like, why did you even start legal nurse consulting, and how did you get your lead right out?
So the way that I started, I was working. So I think first of all, like my story is that I did not even get married till I was 35. So it was just about me and my career for a really long time. And once I had somebody to come home to, things started shifting. They didn't change completely, but I got engaged and I was working in a very busy pediatric IR, meaning he would ask me when I would be home that night, and I had no idea. And that one was actually 5 days a week. And it just
Mm,
kind of depended on what kind of add ons they had for the day. So I started researching, remote work from home. I lived in Arizona. I'm originally from Mississippi. All of my family lives in Mississippi. So I knew once we started a family, because we were going to get married and then try to start a family pretty quickly because of our age, I knew I would not have help. And so I started searching that and came upon legal nurse consulting. Well, it took me about a year to talk him into letting me do it. So when I signed up, it was like the summer after we got married, and I had just found out I was pregnant. And there was one class like that was always at the top of my Google. And so I thought that was it. And I paid a ridiculous amount of money to go to this class in person. And so once I went there and did the whole conference, like I studied that whole summer, I was pregnant. I went to the conference when I was 22 weeks pregnant. I came back and I kind of like struggled a little bit with getting started because I was like it gave me a lot of information, but just not like realistic information to really put it into action. And so that did take a little bit. It took a lot of Googling on my part and just kind of putting feelers out there, learning how to use LinkedIn because I was not using social media other than personal scrolling at that time.
yeah.
And so I came upon, and this is really kind of funny, and this puts like a time on it, but I came across some Yahoo groups, like a listserv on Yahoo.
Yeah.
And it was for legal nurse consultants, and it was like jobs. So I joined it. It was free to join at that time. I joined it, got my first job pretty quickly. It was subcontracting for another nurse and built that on the side for about 2 years. And what I would do is, like I was saying, as I increased those hours, I would drop my FTEs at work once I felt
Yeah.
comfortable. But I worked during nap time after he went to bed, all of those things that first year of his life. That's when I actually did the hours. Sometimes, occasionally on the weekends when my husband was there, if I wasn't working at the hospital. But that's kind of how I did it. It was nap times and bedtimes is when I would work on it.
Okay. So you didn't have a website, you weren't using Systeme.io at that point. You were just
No.
building up your repertoire, becoming a legal nurse consultant, slowly putting your foot in the door as subcontracting. So eventually you were the legal nurse consultant, and then you were
Yes.
forced to, like, okay, well, I can't nurse anymore. I can't be a nurse. So, and you went
Yep.
all in. So how long
Yes.
were you a legal nurse consultant before you became a legal nurse consultant mentor? Like, how long was that transition?
Um, so that would be like those first 2 years was 2016 to 2018. And then I started getting my own attorneys in 2019. And I also
Mhm.
applied at a couple of law firms because I really wanted to see what happened on the other side. Because just working from home, you don't see like the depositions, the trials, you
Yeah.
just see the paperwork,
Yeah.
and so um, from 2019 to about November 2020, I did a lot of contracts. I worked for a pharmaceutical company, um, just different random things. And then one of the attorneys that I was kind of doing overflow work for, like if their legal nurse consultant couldn't handle it, contacted me and wanted me to take the job at the law firm because that legal nurse consultant was leaving. So I took that job and worked there for almost 4 years. And during that last year that I was there, I just started, well, I guess like 2020, I kind of started sharing a few things on social media. And so I enjoyed like sharing that portion. And once I came home full time doing legal nurse consultant work, the more that I shared on social media, the more people were asking me, how do I get started? What do you have to do that? How does that work? Can you really make an income from that? Just different questions. And so it kind of started out that I would like send an email and just give them information, and I would literally copy and paste it, from person to person.
Yeah.
And then I started including links. And I was like, okay, this is where you go for this is where you go for that. I'm just a very like I was ICU nurse, very type A, need to be organized and like it to be easy. And so in 2022, I remember thinking that summer, I was like, I really need, like, how can I monetize this, right? Like, I'm sending this
Mhm.
email, I'm giving links. There's a need for it. People want it. And the biggest thing I wanted them to know was you don't have to spend $10,000 like I did. Like, after I
Mhm.
got into it 2 years, the nurse I was working for was like, you didn't even have to take that class. And so I
Mhm.
wanted people to know that because I didn't know that. There's
Yeah.
no, whenever you Google legal nursing, so many things come up, and there's
Yeah.
nothing that is like a clear path to how to
Yeah.
get from point A to point B. And so I really wanted to fill that gap. So I sat on it for a year because I didn't know how to use it. I didn't know what a funnel was. I didn't know how people were going to pay for it. How was I going to get it to their email and take money for that? And then the roadmap came out, the master resale
Mhm.
rights thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this could help me. And not in a way of buying it to resell it, because that's what everybody was doing. But I wanted
Yep.
it for the
Mhm.
information on how do I hook all this up? And so I went through that whole thing in a weekend, and it taught me like how to hook up all of my funnels. It taught me about Systeme.io and it being affordable to get started, and just went through really setting it all up, and
Mhm.
connecting my website and all of those things. And so once I got that connected, it was like fall of 2023, I think it was. And
Mm. Okay.
I did not set out to be a mentor. Again, this was going to be a side thing. Like, I'm working at
Mm.
the law firm. I'm just going to make some extra money for sending all these emails. Like, it's just going to be a guide.
One digital
And
product, that's it. You were making one digital product. You learned how to connect everything using one of those, MMR, which now they're affiliate courses, right?
Yeah.
For one digital product. That was the goal.
Yes.
That was it.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
That was it. It was a $39 guide. I just wanted to like sell that and I didn't want to give any information. I just wanted to tell you what you needed to get started and that you didn't have to spend a ton of money. Here's all the
Yeah.
links. Go do it yourself, And in January of 24, some things had changed at the law firm. They were asking more of me than what I could really give for my family. Because when I took the job, it was a part-time job. And during COVID, there was like a lull in the medical malpractice, personal injury cases because all the criminal cases were put to the front. And so it was manageable what I was doing at a part-time level. But by the time things started like catching up and everything, that was not manageable anymore. And there really needed to be 2 legal nurse consultants there. And so I chose to leave because that was not going to happen. And I was like, I chose to do this so I would have more time with my family, not be hiring a 5-day-a-week babysitter.
Yeah.
And so that's what it had kind of turned into. And so I asked my husband, I'm like, what if I could make this digital product like do more since I have more time? And he thought I was crazy. He really did. He was like, okay, I support you. But he told me like probably 18 months into it, I didn't think you were going to make $1. I didn't know what you were trying to do. And so
I think digital marketing is such a sleeper. Like a lot of people who are older, like are like, can you really make money online? Yes. Yes, you can.
Yes, exactly. So, I kind of like I made a Facebook group, and had a place for people to come, kind of like a community so that I could do a little more like real-time education. And people were asking me for more. They wanted a report writing class. And honestly, imposter syndrome, I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I want to do that. And I decided to do it, and I kind of did master classes. So I had that guide and I had 2 master classes. And then that went through summer of 2024. And I figured out Systeme.io had a way that I could make it into a video guide and a video course. So I did that and combined the 2 as a bundle. I sold them separate in 2 different funnels. And then I had another funnel where it sold them together in a bundle. And so I did that until I guess it was like June of 25. And then people were asking me for more, like they wanted 1-to-1. Like, can we have a thing where we can have 1-to-1 calls, more of your support? Like, I need pushing, I need coaching, I need more of this, because at the bundle only included 1 Zoom call to go over your report writing sample. And so again, imposter syndrome just kicked in. And finally, I just did it. And it's that in itself has been life-changing. I mean, I have this passion now for helping and love it so much, but then financially it has been life-changing too.
Life-changing. Okay. All right. So, and Cliff Notes, 22 years as a nurse, brought on the legal nurse consulting, got your feet wet. You actually did heavy lifting in a law office, which I think a lot of legal nurse consultants don't have because you were able to see both sides. And then you figured out digital marketing, which a lot of people are like, I don't know, I'll make business cards and send them out and do the, the good old school LinkedIn and just, hopefully they'll come. But you're like, no, I need to get in front of people. And you made one digital product and then just kind of like saw what was working and just added on and bundle. So PDF, then video course, then bundles, and now 1-to-1 mentoring. Do you have a 1 to group or is it all 1-to-1? How's your
coaching? So weekly I do live Q&As, or we have like a guest speaker come in for a Q&A, like an a legal nurse consultant. Or sometimes I haven't really done this year, but last year I did twice a month. I did mock case reviews where I would send them a mock case and then we would get on Zoom and just talk about it. I record everything for them so that they can go in and watch it. Um, so yeah, I mean, there is group, it's weekly, and then they have the one-to-one calls that they can use. It's like 5 one-to-one calls with all the information too.
Wow. Okay. So let's get into the nitty gritty of Systeme.io. What have you been able to build on their platform and software that has accelerated your growth?
I think just like in the beginning, whenever I started, I on it, well, honestly, I don't know, but I don't think the course option was there because I remember just going in there and then being like, oh, now they have this, now they have that. And I feel like it has kind of evolved over the years with me evolving
Yeah.
what I need. And I really think taking things from a like masterclass to the course option, like having that video on there was super helpful. So being able to put the video and then wording underneath and being able to link in that wording was
Mm-hmm.
just made it so much more organized for people. Um, so that was, I think that was the biggest change that really helped me uh, kind of grow in that kind of way because what it did was give me back a little more of my time, right? So I was
Yeah.
able to put everything in video that I was doing live, and that gave me back my time. And then it's like one thing I could sell over and over and over again rather than having to find a time to do it live. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So when you mentioned the masterclass, are you utilizing the webinar feature inside of Systeme.io, or did you just plug it somewhere as like a lead magnet or a
Yeah,
product?
it was just a product to purchase. I didn't use the webinar. Honestly, I don't think I realized that that was an option now that you're saying that. No, I just used it as like a sales page, a funnel, and then it would send the email for the link um, for
Yeah,
Zoom is what I used.
yeah. That's perfect. It's
Mm.
simple. And I want to kind of sit in that for just a little bit for people who are listening. For the most part, up to now, you were just shoestringing it, duct taping things together, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, until finally you landed on something that kind of worked. But then even there, you weren't using everything, not all the bells and whistles. You're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I need to get emails and I need people to pay. So
Yep.
you've got your masterclass, simple product. You've got your PDF, simple product. And now you've created a course. Is all of this inside of Systeme.io now? All these different products?
Primarily there is one course that I still have in there. It's just the report writing course. I kind of like went through this thing at the end of the year where I was testing out some other things to see if it might work better for what I needed. But ultimately, what I found is that I came back to Systeme.io collecting my emails. It's just easier. I don't know if it's because I just really know how that works and what to expect, but I haven't found anywhere else that I can send like things to my email list that make it as easy as Systeme.io. So
Yeah.
I'm in the process of kind of all of my funnels are my main web page is still there. Um, but everything is coming back soon in the process
So
of that.
even experimenting, I think that's a very honest, transparent answer too, that you were
Mm-hmm.
with them, you saw these shiny things over there, you tried them out, but the simplicity of Systeme.io is pulling you back in because it just does what you need
Yes.
it to do when you need it.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I have to say to customer support with Systeme.io is absolutely amazing. Whenever I send them an email, I mean, it does say they have 24 hours to get back, but they literally respond within a few hours.
Yeah.
So I really like that feature too. Like if I'm having issues with something, they'll send like a detailed email on how to fix that.
Yeah.
And then I've also had like some other issues that I've had to contact them with, like things, people putting in things like in the email section, on my main page that are not, like, they're not there to actually get the information. They're trying
Yeah.
to put random things in there. And so I've had one issue with that they have helped me with so much. And I've just been super thankful for the customer service portion.
I love that you leaned into the customer service because a lot of platforms will have all the shiny bells and whistles, all the tech is there, it looks beautiful, but then whenever you are in a situation like that and you've got spammers coming in and putting all kinds
Mm-hmm.
of stuff into your, email funnel, there's no one there to help you answer those questions. And they've done a great job creating such a support network and ticket system to be able to work with their customers and their clients because they care. They deeply care about what you're doing and wanting to change your life because it's changed their lives, you know? So leaning into the customer support and the way that it helped you. So we've got email marketing, we have, the courses and the products and a payment system.
Mm-hmm.
What else in Systeme.io do you absolutely love or you're about to explore more of to kind of, keep maximizing on what you're building?
Honestly, the main forefront why I suggest them to the nurses in my community is the affordability too. I
Mm.
always tell them it's easy to set up. There's tons of YouTube videos if you don't understand like one little thing. Plus, they have the education videos within Systeme.io that you can actually watch too. But it's just the easy part of it and the affordability. So I'll have my nurses like set up their website and their domain through there. And then they can connect Stripe so then attorneys can pay them like that. So
Yeah.
that is a big thing for them. Cause I'm coming from the time attorneys only mailed checks, nurses
Mhm.
only mailed checks. Now, a lot of people use QuickBooks to do their payroll and stuff, but it's very expensive. And I'm like, if you're
Yeah.
just starting out, you don't want that. So
Mhm.
I always suggest Systeme.io because they can go in, make their website easily, and set up a funnel with a Stripe payment that the
Yeah.
attorney can just go right to their page and pay that to them right there.
Yeah.
So that's like the main thing. Like I'm recommending it to them. I have videos on it in my course for them to use to show them how to easily use it. Um, but it's mainly the funnels, the email marketing. I feel like the email marketing has been the easiest with them. And then setting up my webpage and collecting the emails are the main portions
Mhm.
that I'm using.
Okay. So you even have the opportunity for affiliate marketing if you're giving this out as the option to your nurses as well.
Hmm. Yes. So I
Yeah.
definitely have my affiliate link in there for them to sign up through that. Yes.
Yeah. So for your nurses, you're really pushing this as a client relationship management system, like a CRM. And
Hmm.
it really does check all the boxes for them, but then it has the potential to be so much more. So if they want to go beyond just being a legal nurse consultant, maybe even doing what you're doing and pushing things out so that maybe down the road they become affiliates of your own course and people are coming to you through them and they're pushing that out. There's so much
Yes.
potential that you have available. I'm really
Yes.
excited to see what ErinEllsworth.com is going to have in the future. And
Yes.
how has Systeme.io using it and also becoming a digital marketer and online business owner, how has it maybe financially or mentally, physically like changed your life right now? Because we're now in 2026. We went through all of that, your story. What is life like for you right now, Erin, by being a digital business owner?
So it's very flexible, which I love. um, I will say at the end of the year last year, we started looking at the income,
Yeah.
and it was, I mean, just from the first full year, which was 2024. So I had like that little bit from 2023. It was like August to December, which was a little bit of nothing, but more than I expected, these $39 payments. And then the first full year was 2024. So from that year to the end of 2025, like if you compare the 2 years, I almost tripled I did triple, I almost quadrupled my income, actually.
Wow.
We were like, I can't even believe it. I mean, when we started looking at the numbers, we were like, what? How did that happen? Because it doesn't feel like it when you're in it. And then when you
Yep.
look at it like that, and honestly, I would have never been able to do that without really learning about, I mean, I started with that course that showed me Systeme.io. I didn't even know what it was before then. And
Yeah.
so if it had not been for that and just really figuring it out, we wouldn't be where we are now. And
Yeah.
so flexibility has changed our life even more flexible because essentially the calls are on my time and how I can do that. And then just financially, it has allowed us to do things that we normally wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, a question here is, as a nurse schedule, the nurse life, it looks very lucrative. I know I looked into it, before I was married and had kids. My mother-in-law is a nurse. I have cousins. Everyone around me is a nurse, and I see it. Have you been able to replace that income yet? That you were full time as a nurse with your own online business, or are you on track to do that?
Oh no, I have more so, yeah,
More
than what I
so?
would have
Yeah.
made at the hospital. I will say I did have 3 years where I worked in Northern California as a PRN nurse, and honestly, that
Mhm.
is where you make the most money as a
Yeah.
nurse. But I've not quite replaced that income from those 3 years. But the
Yeah.
rest of my years at the bedside, yes, have doubled
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for any nurse that's listening, I want them to be able to have that like number in their head without,
Hmm.
sharing too many numbers. If anyone's here listening, I am very cognizant of digital footprints. And so honoring Erin and everyone who's been on the podcast, just allowing you to be able to see the freedom that you can have as an entrepreneur and having your own digital business. So with that, how would you describe Systeme.io in 1 to 2 words or maybe a sentence for anyone listening?
Oh my gosh. I could do it in words. Affordability. I've been saying that. That's the forefront of everything that I say, or that I recommend, honestly, is affordability. And then just the easy to work around and customer
Yeah.
service. Great customer service. Those are my three main points about
Mhm.
Systeme.io.
All right. And then you've already mentioned this, but in a nutshell, what is the gift that entrepreneurship has given you and your family?
Oh my gosh. Just flexibility of time, honestly. Being able to do what you want to do on your own time and not really answering to anyone. Um, Being able to pick up spontaneously and go somewhere for the weekend without really
Yeah.
thinking about it, without thinking about work or PTO or thinking about the cost of it, just really being able to pick up and go, that has been a big thing. We just bought a house, and so that was an easier process. Whenever I bought my house in Arizona, I was a bedside nurse, and it was just me, and I worked 15 shifts, and then I would be off 2 days, 15 shifts, just to like save up the down payment. And this process was like so much easier. I mean, we did sell that house and that helped, but also we weren't worried about, you know, what the once we got the payment amount, we're like, okay, we can do that. That wasn't like a concern. So the financial part of it that can be life changing is unreal. I don't think that nurses understand how much education we could give through, a digital product. And
Mhm.
that can be so life-changing for other nurses that maybe don't have time to find the information, and it's just
Yeah.
making it all in one place and making it easy for them. So you are
Yeah.
helping in that kind of way too.
Mm, I love that. I love that, as a nurse, you can give back in, multitude of ways. And you're saying, the entrepreneurship is definitely a route for them.
Mhm.
And if someone's listening right now and they're saying, yeah, I am a nurse and I am ready to change my priorities. Maybe not just legal nurse consulting, but something in this digital realm of entrepreneurship. What would you say to them? They're sitting on the edge of their seat. They're like, I
Oh
just
my
need,
gosh, you just got to start. I always tell them, like, it's going to be messy. It's not going to be perfect. But if you don't start, you're never going to figure out what you have to change to make it better.
yeah,
You have to make that decision to start, or it's never going to happen. I mean, so many of us can sit there and, I mean, just like I sat on this product for a year because I
yeah,
didn't take the time to figure out how to research it and do it. But I waited, and then I found that program that made it easy for me. It was everything I was looking for, and it put it all in one place, and it made it easier for me. But you can't wait for that. Like, I missed out on so much for a year of waiting for that. But you have to make that decision to start and just go. Just do it, and do it messy in the beginning.
oh, I love it. I actually, it's like a whole mantra. Do it messy. Just do it, but do
Yeah.
it messy. Like, just get it out
Yep.
there. Be-
Yep.
because when no one knows who you are, you have a little
Yes.
bit of, flexibility there. Like, oh, that didn't work well. Let me fix it. And still you wait till you get 50,000 followers or 100,000, then you put something out there and they're like, this, I'm not coming back. This didn't work well.
Yeah.
Start
Yep.
messy, start now.
It's
Oh,
never going to
thank
be
you.
perfect in the beginning. Never going to be perfect. And I started that Instagram account in January of 24. So I had started selling that first digital product on a different account. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to build this account around just this one digital product. When you're
Yeah.
sitting there talking to 5 followers on your stories, it's comical now, but it feels so silly. But if you don't start, you have to start from somewhere. Everybody does. If
Yeah.
you don't start, you can never see what the benefits of it is.
Yeah. Oh, Erin, thank you so much. I think a lot of people are going to be encouraged and probably interested in legal nurse consulting, ready for that transition, ready to shift those priorities. So, if anyone's listening, how can they find you after this interview?
So you can come to www.erinellsworth.com, and there's a way to contact me on my website there. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at the Legal Nurse Collective. So you can find me at any of those, and I'm happy to answer questions. I answer them all day long for people who don't even purchase from me. That is like a big thing because you need questions answered. So don't hesitate to reach out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your heart and your business with us on today's interview.
Thank you, Holly. Thanks for having me.
All right. And for everyone listening, thanks for listening to another success story with Systeme.io. And until next time, keep creating.